In the spring of 1929, a farmer named Yan Daochang was digging a ditch beside his home in the Sichuan province of southwestern China. His blade struck stone, and when he cleared away the mud, he uncovered a hidden pit packed with polished jade, discs, blades, and ornaments carved with a skill no one in his village could explain. He had no way of knowing it, but he had just brushed against the edge of a lost civilization, one that would rewrite what we thought we knew about ancient China. Its name is Sanxingdui, and nearly a century later, it remains one of the most haunting archaeological mysteries on Earth. For decades, those jade pieces circulated quietly among collectors, and the site slept. Then, in the summer of 1986, workers from a local brick factory were digging clay when they broke through into something extraordinary. Beneath their feet lay two enormous pits, and inside was a treasure so strange that the archaeologists who rushed to the scene could scarcely believe their eyes. There were hundreds of objects, bronze, gold, jade, and ivory, deliberately buried more than 3,000 years ago. But it was the bronze faces that stopped everyone cold. Masks, larger than any human head, with sharp angular features, enormous fan-shaped ears, and eyes that bulged outward from the metal-like cylinders, some stretching several inches beyond the face. One mask spread nearly 1.5 meters wide. Nothing like them had ever been found anywhere in China, or arguably anywhere in the ancient world. They stared out from the earth with an expression that felt less human than otherworldly. Alongside the mask stood a bronze figure more than 2.5 meters tall, standing on an ornate pedestal, its oversized hands curled as if once gripping something now lost to time. There were bronze trees, the tallest almost 4 meters high, branching upward and hung with birds, flowers, and fruit, perhaps a sacred tree connecting earth and sky. There were gold masks, a golden staff etched with delicate patterns, elephant tusks by the dozen, and cowrie shells that must have traveled from distant seas. What made all of this so bewildering was that it belonged to a culture history had almost entirely forgotten. The artifacts were the work of the Shu Kingdom, a Bronze Age society that flourished in the Sichuan Basin around 3,000 years ago, at roughly the same time as the famous Shang dynasty far to the northeast along the Yellow River. Yet the Shu left behind no written records of their own. They appear in later Chinese texts only as shadows, half legend, their kings described in myth. For centuries, scholars assumed the region had been a cultural backwater. Sanxingdui proved them profoundly wrong. Here was a sophisticated, wealthy, artistically bold civilization that had developed its own distinct style, utterly unlike the ritual bronzes of the Shang. And this raises the first great question: who were these people, and where did their startling artistic vision come from? Some researchers have pointed to the towering figures and dramatic masks as evidence of a unique local religion, one built around eyes and sight in the act of seeing. It is a tempting idea, because a legend recorded much later speaks of Cansong, a first king of Shu, who was said to have protruding eyes. Could the bulging bronze gaze be a portrait of a god, an ancestor, or a king remembered only in fragments of myth? We simply do not know. Then there is the deeper puzzle of the pits themselves. The objects were not carefully laid to rest. Many had been smashed, burned, and broken before being thrown into the ground. Ivory was scorched, bronze was shattered, gold was crumpled. Whatever ceremony took place here, it was violent and deliberate. Some scholars believe these were sacrificial offerings, a grand ritual of destruction meant to please the heavens or bury the power of a fallen ruler. Others suspect the objects were desecrated by an enemy, or hidden in a moment of crisis. The truth is buried with the people who dug the pits. And perhaps the most unsettling mystery of all is what happened next. At some point, the great city of Sanxingdui was abandoned. Its walls were left behind, its workshops fell silent. Theories abound: a catastrophic flood that changed the course of a river, a devastating earthquake, an invasion, or an internal collapse. Intriguingly, many of the same artistic traditions reappear a short time later at a site called Jinsha, near modern Chengdu, suggesting the people may not have vanished at all, but moved, carrying their gods and their craft with them. The mystery only deepened in recent years. Beginning in 2019, archaeologists uncovered 6 more sacrificial pits at the site, pouring out thousands of new artifacts, more masks, more gold, more ivory, and objects no one had seen before. Each discovery answers a little and asks a great deal more. Even now, the Shu script, if one ever existed, has never been found. We can hold their masks in our hands and stare into their impossible eyes, and still we cannot read a single word they left behind. That is the strange power of Sanxingdui. It is proof that whole civilizations can rise, create astonishing beauty, and slip almost entirely out of memory, that the past is far larger and stranger than the histories we inherited. Somewhere beneath the fields of Sichuan, more pits may still be waiting. And with them, perhaps, the answer to who these people were, and why they buried their gods in fire.